Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to have you join the call today. My name is Joy. I'm an accountant and currently working with a construction firm. The purpose of this class is to educate you on investing in the Nigerian stock market, even as a beginner. So the emphasis is on beginners, not necessarily the experts. Working with those who have never invested before, working with those persons who are trying to invest for the very first time, or those persons who've had bad experiences before. So if you fall into either of this category, it's a good thing that you are here. And I believe that at the end of today's class, you would definitely learn something new. Thank you so much for joining the session as we begin now. Investing in stocks can be one of the most effective ways to grow your money over time. So if you're looking for a way to grow your money, especially this year, investing in stock has been one of the most effective ways. If you look at most wealthy people and you find out the solar industry. So if you're interested in learning more about stocks and how to invest in them, this is the right class. Like I said, stocks can be volatile in the short term, but the beautiful thing is that in the long run, they tend to provide much higher returns than other assets such as government bonds and cash savings. Now, if you look at your savings in the bank, you notice that the interest rate is usually low. Sometimes you have 5% in a whole year. Sometimes it might go up probably 8%, which I'm not sure, but I know within that range of 5 to 7%. Imagine earning that interest rate on your money in a whole year. It doesn't make so much sense. Say, for instance, you have 100K in your savings account, and at the end of the year, they are telling you it's just 7% you have as interest. That means you just made 7,000 naira extra. It doesn't make sense. So, regardless of the fact that the stock markets can be unstable at times because share prices could go up, sometimes it could come down. At the end of the day, the market always goes up in the long run. So, investing in the stock market makes more sense because there are some stocks that have returned over 30% in a whole year. Some have done 50%, some have done 100%. I will be showing you those stocks in the class today because at some point I'm going to be sharing my screen with you so that you can just see everything for yourself. So that's why we always advise that you don't hold so much cash in the bank, rather invest in assets. You can also look at government bonds as well as treasury bills and mutual funds. The reason is because the rates are quite impressive these days compared to those days where you see 12 to 15%. These days, the rates are as high as 20% in a year. That's similar to what a high yield interest savings account will give you. What are stocks basically? So you've heard a lot about invest in stocks, invest, but what are stocks? Stocks or shares can be used interchangeably. You can either call it shares or call it stocks. They're basically investments that represent ownership in a company. Investment that represents ownership in a company. Companies issue stocks in order to raise money so that they can grow and develop. I know most of us saw on the news or probably on a billboard last year where most of the banks were selling their shares to the public using their primary offer. We saw a lot of them selling their shares to the public. Now, the reason why they were doing that is because of the CBN policy on recapitalization. So, CBN gave the banks a certain threshold in terms of the capital they should generate from the banks. That's exactly why you saw them selling some of their shares to the public. They are selling some of their ownership. So if you bought into any of those banks, it simply means you're a co-owner of that bank in your own way, which is a very small way because we definitely have the big players, the people that hold a larger percentage of the bank. But regardless, the fact that you have shares in UBA makes you a co-owner of UBA. Why would they be issuing their shares? They want to raise money so that they grow and develop, so that they meet up with the targets that CBN set for them. Since they can't just generate it on their own, they decided to raise it from the public. Let's take, for example, you want to start a business and you need 1 million. And you're asking yourself, oh, I don't have exactly 1 million. I have 500K. I need extra 500K. How do I get this? I don't want to borrow from the bank so that I don't get to pay interest. Do I have friends that can give me this money? Then you meet two of your friends and you're like, see, I need 500K. I want to start this business. This is my business plan. And once profit is made from the business, we are going to share the profit. That's profit sharing. I'm going to give you part of the profit. The part of the profit you're giving them now is similar to the dividend that some banks will pay you when you invest in their shares. So I'm trying to explain stock investing to you. When those your friends give you the 500,000, one person 250, the other person 250, then you start your business. When you start the business with them, that particular amount that you give to them at the end of the day is part of your profits, which can be likened to dividend. So they investing in you, they've bought part of the ownership of that company. So now you're not the only one that owns that business. They are also co-owners with you. If the company makes a loss, they are also going to be at loss. So it's something you must have told them about the risks involved, and you tell them, see, I believe in my strategy, I believe in my business plan. This company has a market. Can you invest in it? And your friends join you. At the end of the day, if it is successful, of course you give them their profit. So that's what stock investing is about. You're buying shares of a company with the aim of making profit. Stocks are traded on stock exchanges such as the New York Stock Exchange, that's in the US, abbreviation for NYSE, and the Nasdaq, also the London Stock Exchange. In Nigeria, we have the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That's a place where you find so many stock available for sale. Most recently, we have over 3,000 companies listed. So there are lots of stocks you can buy. But the thing is, you want to know the right stock to buy. That's the major challenge. You need to know how to pick quality companies. I'll be talking about them in the class. As soon as we progress, I'll be telling you how to research stocks. I'll be sharing my screen, showing you different websites, how you research stock, and how you come out to pick a quality stock. I would also show you the key indicators that you always look out for before you even begin an analysis on a stock. I would show that to you. Let's move on. Why should we invest in stocks? Investing in stocks can be a great way to grow your income over time. Historically, stocks have delivered excellent returns to investors over the long term. I can tell you that over and over again. Over time, when you leave your stock for like 3 to 12 months or 2 to 3 months, if you picked quality stock, you would already see deliver returns. In the community, some persons in 1 month, they've already made about 15% profit on their stock. Some persons in 3 months, they've made like 30%. So you can imagine, what's the inflation rate again? Inflation rate is high, we understand, but there are still some stocks that outperform that inflation rate. Some do 50%, so I don't think our inflation rate has gotten so high. That's why it's important to invest in the stock market, because you're giving yourself an edge against inflation. On an average, at least in a whole year, there is no way, if you pick the right company, there's no way you won't make like 30% profit or 20% profit. That's if you pick the right company. Now, it's important to realize that not every stock performs so well, because they don't all rise in a straight line. That is why it's always necessary for you to pick quality companies. Now, stock prices can move down as well. They can move up, they can move down. Sometimes you experience period of bad performance. It could be a time where people are really not believing in the shares anymore of that company, so they are not really buying. It could be a time where a lot of people are selling. It could be panic selling and all that. That may be a reason why the stock price may decline. Now, don't let this put you off though. Time and time again, studies have shown that stocks are one of the best long-term investments you can make. Now, what are the advantages of investing in stocks? So if I invest in stock today, what is in it for me? What do I stand to gain? Like I mentioned previously, it's going to produce high returns over the long term. And it's also going to help you protect your money against inflation. It's very easy to buy and sell. Most recently, unlike before where you have to go to their offices, do a lot of paperwork, these days it is so easy. You just need to have a smartphone and just download the right application. It's already linked to a stockbroking firm. They just decided to give us an app to make our lives easier. And another beautiful thing is that you can start investing in stocks with a relatively small amount of money. You don't need millions to buy your first stock. Even 2,000 naira can buy stocks. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how much some stocks are selling for. 2,000 naira can buy your first stock. Another thing is that you can spread your money over many different stocks to lower your investment portfolio risk. You can decide to invest in the banking sector. You can decide to invest in insurance. At the same time, you buy hospitality sector, stocks in various sectors, so that you spread your risks. Because if one sector is not performing well, the other would be performing well. So your risk is maximized. You don't have a situation where, because one sector is not performing well, therefore your total investment have gone down. It doesn't make any sense. Now let's look at investing in stocks and trading in stock. What's the difference? I know you must have heard some people trade stocks, some people invest in stock. Sometimes we even use the words interchangeably. So what's the difference? Investing in stocks, here the goal is to build wealth over the long term. You're thinking 5 years, you're thinking 1 year, you're thinking 3 years, you're thinking 10 years. Above that time frame, even 20 years, looking into the future, that's investing. It's basically for the long term. But trading stocks, the goal of trading stock is to generate short-term profits. Most investors, they hold their stocks for years, some even decades, with the aim of generating good profits from both the rising price in stock and dividends over time. But traders, they hold their stocks for a very short period of time. So you don't really compare them with investors. It's just that sometimes some investors trade at the same time. They invest for the long term and they also trade in the short term. So instead of focusing on the company's long-term potentials like the investors, traders focus on the direction the stock is likely headed in its next move, and they try to profit from that move. You see, investors, they don't really care about what's going on currently, because eventually they ride out the periods of underperformance because they're investing for the long term. Some of them, every month, they are buying a particular stock, they are building their portfolio with the expectation that the stock will eventually gain itself back, and any short-term loss, they will recover it. So if they lost in the short term, by the time they've left that stock for a very long time, provided it's a quality company, they will recover all. Traders often use stop loss orders to automatically close out in case they are losing trades. It helps them protect their capital. But one thing you should know is that both persons, both the investor and the trader, all of them are just trying to take profit from the stock market. However, everybody pursue their own goal in different ways. Investing is a buy and hold long-term strategy, while trading is a buy to sell short-term strategy. You're buying to sell. And one thing about investing, if you look at the time frame, it's medium to long term, but trading is usually short term. And these traders, they make profits from both rising stock price and falling stock price. If the stock price is going up, traders will make profits. If it's going down, traders will make profits, because they try to time the market. They can look at the stock and, like, based on the analysis, they say, okay, this price would go down to 5 naira. Maybe it was 10 naira. It will go down to 5 naira in 1 month. Then they put in a short order. If the price finally gets to that 5 naira, if it drops to that 5 naira, they've made profits. So traders make profit both in rising prices and falling stock prices. Do I trade? No, I don't trade stocks. I invest. While the investors, they make their own profit from rising stock prices and dividends. So if you bought a stock at 10 naira and it's currently 15 naira, you've made a 5 naira gain. I will explain this further. They also make their profits from dividends. Now, dividends are part of the profits that the company makes. If you invest in the shares of UBA, if at the end of the year, if UBA makes profits, they give part of that profit to their shareholders. They have a certain percentage they give to their shareholders. So investors make money from rising stock prices and dividend. Rising stock prices is similar to what we call capital gain. Now, how do we profit from stocks? I'm just going to do a recap. We profit from stocks during rising stock prices. The first way is through increase in stock price. If you buy a stock today and its price rises, you can sell it for a profit. Between October and November, in the Investors Lounge, I told them to buy Ikeja Hotel. As at then, Ikeja Hotel was selling at 7 naira to 8 naira, one of the above. There's also an individual I also told, aside those investors, I also told the person to buy Ikeja Hotel. It was selling like 7 naira to 8 naira. Currently, we'll be checking the market soon. You would see the price of Ikeja Hotel. It is 13 naira 90 kobo as of yesterday when I checked. So you see from like 8 naira, it has gone to 13 naira. How did I analyze it and know when to buy that stock? Because it's important to buy a stock from an oversold region. And when it's emerging at the bottom, don't buy a stock from the top so that you don't get used as an exit liquidity. Let people not come and dump on you when they start selling. It's as if there's no way for you to sell again. They just dump their sales on you. It doesn't make so much sense. So let's look at a typical example for rising stock price. Let me use the US stock market. For example, if you bought one Amazon share when the stock was trading at $2,000 and it rises to $2,200, you can sell it for a $200 profit. So the difference, let's say you came back, you bought it when it was selling for $2,000 and you came back 6 months after, you notice it's not $2,200. Simply means you've made $200 profit. Going back to Naira, like I said previously, we bought Ikeja Hotel for 8 naira. It's currently 13 naira. So we've made 5 naira profit. We'll do the analysis now. If you have your calculator with you, you can just you can join me in the analysis. So let's assume that from that Ikeja Hotel at 8 naira, let's assume that we bought 100 units. Assume that we bought 100 units of Ikeja Hotel. 8 naira. 8 times 100. That gives us 800. Now, assume that we bought, I need a very relatable figure. Assuming that we bought 1,000 units. 8 times 1,000. That gives us 8,000. So if we bought 1,000 units, that gives us 8,000. So it means we used 8,000 to buy that stock at 8 naira. Currently, that stock is 13 naira. It's 13 naira. Now, to find out, did you make a gain or you lost? You go back and do the same calculation. 13 naira times 1,000 units. What do we have? We currently have 13,000 naira. If you're doing the math with me, you will notice the figures when you punch your calculator. We currently have 13,000 naira, meaning the 8,000 naira you used to buy that stock is not what is there again. You currently have 13,000 naira. You've made a whooping profit of 5,000 naira. Just like that. Yes, that's how it works. When you pick the right companies, when you pick quality stocks, you make profits even within 3 months, 12 months, 6 months. It doesn't take so much time. You don't need to wait years, especially in the Nigerian stock market. It's in the US stock market you might want to wait for years and all that. But Nigerian stock market is a bit fast, so you don't need to wait for years to start seeing your profits. So that's it with rising stock prices, popularly called capital gain. The next one is dividends per share. The second way you make money from stock is through dividends. Now, dividends are cash payments that some companies pay to their investors out of their profits. Not all companies pay dividends, just so you know, but many well-established companies do. Like the Zenith Bank, they pay dividends. So if you're looking for dividend-paying stocks, you should be looking at Zenith Bank and some other banks as well. But one example of a dividend-paying company is McDonald's. That's a US stock now. In 2019, it paid its investors a total of $4.73 per share in dividends. Now, dividend payments most times can look small. However, they should not be ignored, because studies have shown that over time, dividends tends to make up a significant proportion of your overall stock market returns. When you continuously invest and that dividend gain keeps appreciating, you will notice that in the long term, it will make so much sense. When you look at your portfolio, you will have huge increase. Now, falling stock prices. There are times where you notice that the price of a stock will drop. The next thing is, what drives stock prices? It goes up, then it comes down. What is pushing it up? What's bringing it down? What's even triggering this whole move? Why will I just wake up and, okay, I bought a stock in October and today I'm seeing it's 30? Why? What's happening? So stock prices are driven by supply and demand. If there are more buyers than sellers of a stock, the price will rise. It's simple economics. And we have more people buying, even in your general market. If you go to the market and more people are buying a product, they keep asking, do you have this cream? Do you have this cream? Anybody that gets to the supermarket is asking for that particular cream. Go back there next month, that cream will not be selling at that price. Then if there are more sellers of a stock than buyers, the price will fall. Supply and demand can be influenced by a number of factors. We have company news. What drives the stock prices is company news. If people hear bad news about a particular company, or maybe the CEO of a company, and you just hear that the CEO of this company is a scammer, something like that, and it's all over the news, they are dragging him, they want to take him to a prison, people will start selling their shares. And once they start selling their shares, the price will start going down. So any news surrounding a company will affect the demand for the stock. Good news tends to increase the demand, while bad news or any news that makes people confused or start having doubts tends to decrease demand. For example, if a company announces that its quarterly profits are higher than the figure that the market was expecting, maybe we're expecting you to make 5 billion, and you then announced in your annual reports that you made 10 billion. There will be so much interest in your organization. Like, these people are doing well. I mean, I didn't even rate them so much and see how much they make. They made something like that. However, if a company announced that it's experiencing operational problems, or that its profit is now lower, the profit is dropping due to the economy, we are going through a lot, and they start telling us all that on the news, you see investors, they start losing interest and they start selling their stocks. So when we have more sellers of a stock than buyers, the price falls. The next one is competitor news. News in relation to a viral company can also impact demand for a stock. For example, if one company in the, let's say, the automotive sector reports strong annual sales, it may boost demand for other automotive stocks. Let's say Dangote Cement and Bua Cement. If both of them are in competition, you notice that people are not just buying Dangote Cement, they will then be buying Bua Cement as well. If Bua Cement then comes up with a news that looks more favorable, people will start tilting towards Bua Cement more than Dangote Cement. So that's competitor news. Economic and political news. I will dive into this deeply when I start my analysis of a stock. Yes, I'm going to analyze a stock here in this class. Economic and political news, they drive demand for a stock. News in relation to interest rate changes, inflation data, unemployment figures, and political turbulence. When you have a new political party or a new president, somebody new in place, I'm going to explain to you how that affects the stock market, and it's going to influence investors' demand. Now, the last one, when you're looking at what drives stock prices, is investor sentiment. Investor sentiment refers to the overall feeling that investors have about the market. The way they feel about the market is going to affect the supply and demand for that particular stock. Now let's go over to the stock analysis basics. Before you invest in stocks, it is sensible that you do some research. The aim of stock research is to determine which stocks are worth buying and which stocks should be avoided. There are so many stocks in the market. It's not everyone you jump at. It's not everyone you buy. You need to be able to do some research before you just buy them. So there are two main forms of stock research. The first is what's known as fundamental analysis, which involves looking at all available information in relation to a company, including its financial performance, its financial strengths, and the threat of competitors, to determine whether the stock is a good buy or it's a stock that should just be sold. That's if you have it already. Now, in looking at fundamental analysis, investors usually look at different ratios. They look at dividend yield. It's the ratio of the company's dividend per share to its share price. They also look at the return on equity. It's the ratio of the company's net income to the amount of equity on its balance sheet. So I'm not going to bore you with all this English. I will just head straight in after now. We'll just show you what it is like. The second form of analysis is also known as technical analysis. In this type of analysis, investors examine stock charts, they analyze trends. That's where the traders come into play. You see them doing some trend trading. They generate profits by analyzing a stock trend. A trend occurs when a stock moves in one direction for a long period of time. So once you've identified the trend, it may be possible to profit from it by trading in the same direction as the trend. Traders will understand better because I'm not a trader. We also have the support and resistance trading. Support and resistance trading. Traders trade at key levels. So they aim to generate profits by identifying a stock support and resistance levels. Support is the level on the chart where the stock price finds it difficult to fall below, while resistance is that level where the stock price finds it difficult to go above. Once these areas have been identified, it's now possible to make profit by placing trades. The next is how to buy stocks on AfriInvest. The app that is recommended is the AfriInvest app. It's been available for over 10 years. That is why we are using that particular app for the purpose of this class. We are going to be looking at a live demonstration on how to buy a stock using AfriInvest. I'll be sharing my screen now. I want to be sure you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. No. You can't see it yet, oh.
Okay, just let me know when it's up, because
It's
I've started sharing. Let me know when
Yes.
it's up.
I can see your screen.
I can see your screen now.
Okay, thank you. So that's fine. So I'm moving over to the AfriInvestor app. If you look at the screen, you'll see the app very close to the Zender app, AfriInvestor 2.0. I've already downloaded it from the Play Store. It's one of my dummy accounts. I don't really use this one. There's another one I use. So I'll be using this one for the purpose of illustration. I've logged in. You can see, hello, Oloita. Did you enjoy your day? Like I told you, I'm not really using this account. I have another account. So it's just 59 Naira that is inside here. The first thing here is this green part of it that has the white text, and it's the essence is so that you'll be able to buy a stock. Because if you don't fund it, you can't buy a stock. So you have to fund. It says, how much do you want to fund your wallet with? Let's assume you say 10,000. Okay, let me use 5,000 for relatability. 5,000. You click on continue. Tells you, how do you want to pay? Do you want to pay with your debit card? Do you want to pay with bank transfer? If you want to pay with bank transfer, you click on it. Just a moment, we're getting your order processed. Bank transfer. AfriInvestor is going to give you an account details to pay into. Once you pay into this account, automatically it's going to reflect. It's going to reflect that place that you're saying portfolio value 59 Naira. It's going to reflect that 5,000 Naira there. So let's go back to fund wallets. I'm going to use the next channel now. So I'll be using the credit and debit card. So if you want to use your card to make payments, you click on it. It opens up. So it says pay with card, pay with transfer, pay with bank, pay with USSD, pay with wallet. What we're using right now is pay with card. So your ATM card should be ready when you want to do this. You key in your card number. Your card number, if you check your ATM card, there are numbers on the card. I don't know if they're about 12 or more than that. So I'm just going to use a random number just for the purpose of illustration. This is not my card details. I'm just using a random number. I'm assuming the card is expiring 2026. CVV, if you check behind your card, you'll find 3 digits number. 3 digits. So I'm going to assume the number as 741. So immediately you've keyed in all these details to pay. You see the pay section. You click on pay. Now, because this card does not exist, that's why it's telling you merchant is not enabled for international transaction. And another reason is because that card, the random number I just used, is a Visa card. So a Visa card might not be able to pay. You'd rather go for a MasterCard or the Verve card. Going forward, what I just did was to move down. You see, today's biggest movers, gainers by percentage. So by percentage for last week, stocks that moved up as at Friday, you have CI Leeson, 10%. You have Honey Floor, 9%. So they moved up like 9%. Whatever you had there made a profit of 9%. Whatever investment you had, be it 10,000, whatever, 100,000, it had an increase. Now I'll go over to losers by percentage. So the same way some stocks are gaining is the same way some stocks are losing. This one lost 9%, this other one lost 9%. So it's important to know the right companies to buy into. Because if you buy into the right companies, even if there is a drop in share price, you know it is still going to come up. That's just a minor shake-up because you bought it based on strong fundamentals. I'll also be explaining that, what I mean by fundamentals, when I start the proper analysis. Now, the next thing is, everything I just showed you now is on home. The next place I'm going to is portfolio. So portfolio gives you an overview of what you have. It gives you an overview of what you have. For that portfolio value, you have total amounts there is 59 naira 23 kobo. Then you have your wallet balance 100%, meaning that I've not used out of it 100%. Equity and bonds. Equity simply means the stocks that you have. So if you have used a part of this to buy stocks, it's going to show a percentage of this particular amount. So if you use 50% to buy stock, it will show here equity and bonds 50%. T-bills and commercial papers, you can buy your treasury bills on this app. You can buy commercial papers as well as fixed deposit notes. If you now click on equity and bonds, this one here, equity and bonds, this particular point is going to give you a rundown of all the stocks that you have. Once I've bought stocks here, it's going to show me a point called view summary. View summary gives me an idea of how my stocks are performing, like a total sum of how they are performing. All of them in profit as a whole. It's going to tell me how much gain I've made so far. It's because there's no stock here. That's why you can't see view summary. The next one I'm going to is invest. Now, you want to buy a stock. You've downloaded the app, your account is verified and everything. You filled in all the details, you've done your KYC. You want to buy a stock. Say you join the Investors Lounge and on Monday I just posted, this is the stock I'm watching. You should buy the stock now. It's going to show in the next 2 months. You saw an announcement like that in the investing community. What you're going to do, you go over to invest, click on Nigerian stocks. Now you see that we have quite a number of them, that there are so many stocks available here. Are you seeing them? There are so many. Now remember I told you we are going to check Ikeja Hotel to know the current price. So I'm going down to look for it before. So this is the Ikeja Hotel. You can see it's 13 naira 90 kobo. Whereas when we bought it, it was 8 naira. Let's go back. If you're a traveler and let's say you make use of the road, you take road trips, you might have an idea of the transport company called ABC Transport, ABC Transport Company. So this after Abbey Mortgage Bank, you see ABC Transport. I'm going to open that. I'll use that for illustration. You see Academy Press PLC, you see Access Core, that's Access Bank. You go down, you see AfriPrudential, Airtel Africa. So many stocks are here for you to buy, but you need to know the right stocks to buy. Dangote Cement, Dangote Sugar, Deep Carb, Dunlop, and a lot of them. So let's just go into ABC. Now, assuming I want to buy ABC, I did my analysis and I'm like, ABC seems to be a good buy. That is if I'm sure. Or I got it from a community that gives me strong recommendations for buy. Once it has opened, I'll click on buy. It brings me to this order page. Then I would see order type, limit order. The stock market opens at 10 a.m. to 2:30. It closes at 2:30. The Nigerian stock market opens at 10 a.m. and closes at 2:30 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. The US stock market opens at 2:30 and closes at 9 p.m. or 9:30. All of the above, either 9 p.m. or 9:30. When the market is opened, when you choose order type, this is not the only order it will show you. You find limit order and you find market order. So there are two order type. What's the difference between this order type? For a limit order, ABC at 1 naira. See, when it gets to like 0.90 kobo, even we should call me. That's when I want to buy. Please, which kind of naira? Why would I buy ABC 1 naira? That's when you use a limit order. But if you click on market order, it is going to buy this stock at 1 naira 23 kobo, and your trade will be executed immediately, except something else happened during the process. Immediately at market price. Another example, if you're going to the market to buy beans in bulk, maybe you resell, so you're buying to store, and you go there and they tell you beans currently, a rubber of beans is 10,000, and you're like 10,000. The price has not come down. He said, no, the price has not come down. I'm like, okay. But I think if you come back in probably the next how many months, the price will drop because we'll have more of it available in the market. And they say it will drop to like 8,000. And you say, okay, when the price gets to 8,000, just call me. That's a limit order. Your limit is 8,000. You know, you don't want to buy at the current market price. No, you want to buy at an amount less than that. The next thing we are looking at is the limit period. So when you've selected your order type, the next thing is your limit period. If you are using market price to buy under order type, if you're using market order, what you will pick here is good for the day. Good for the day. That's what you're picking. Good for the day. If you're using market order. But if you're using limit order, you can go ahead to tell it, see, in the next 30 days, that's when I want to buy, because I want this price to drop in the next 30 days based on the facts that you've done technical analysis, you've drawn your charts, you've seen your support and resistance, you know that, oh, this thing will drop, get as it won't be. So if you're that sure of your analysis, then you can give them a price target. Once you've selected good for 30 days or good for 3 days, that's when you put your price here, this limit price. That's your own price. There you are selling it for 1 naira 23 kobo. No, don't worry. I'm not buying at 1 naira 23 kobo. I'll wait. Let it drop to 0.90 kobo or 0.50. So when you've done that, when you've filled those first three, the next thing is share units to buy. How many units do you want to buy? Do you want to buy 100 units? Do you want to buy 1 unit? Do you want to buy 2? Do you want to buy 3? Once you've filled all this in, your total sum will come down here. The total sum, now there's no money in this account. That's why it's not showing the green sign to enable us buy. But once this account is fully funded, this place will be activated, this buy ABC transport. Then you click on buy. Immediately it's going to show you the next prompt, and it will buy. They'll send you an email that you've successfully bought ABC. That's how to buy stock. Let's go back and so this is Airtel. If you want to buy Airtel, you do just the same thing. I'm going to more. And you notice always, I always emphasize, do you have your CSCS number? Is your account verified? Do you have CHN? So if you look at this place, I clicked on more, you're going to see CSCS number, CHN. You see the account type is POP account and it says active. All these things are supposed to show for you to know your account is now ready for buying stocks. If it doesn't show, you still need to reach out to customer care. And to reach out to customer care, you click on help and support. Help and support. You use the call us option. Call us, not chat with us. Call us. That's because they respond to their calls faster than chats. That's what I've observed. So use the call us option, not chat with us. Still on this, if you go over to settings, you check your profile. This gives you all your information, personal information, bank details, and next of kin, just in case you want to change anything. Now, when you go to more, that's when you find out if your account is active and if your CSCS number is ready. If it's not ready, reach out to customer care. That's that about buying stocks with the Afri Invest app. So I guess you should be able to buy stocks by yourself, but most importantly, you should buy quality stock. Don't just go there and buy any stock. What are the risks associated with investing? That's the next thing we'll be looking at now. What are the risks associated with investing? Are there no risks? What's the downside? What's the downside to it? When we talk about investing, what's the downside to it? All forms of investing involve some degree of risk. And stock investing is not even different. Even as a driver, if you drive a car, it has risk, but you still drive, don't you? You do. There's a risk that you might encounter accidents. If you sleep at night, there's a risk. It's possible that armed robbers will attack. We don't pray for bad things, so, but a lot of things carry risk. So it is not the stock market that will not carry its own risk. Some of the main risks associated with investing in stocks include stock-specific risk. It's the risk that a particular stock might be underperforming. Every stock has its own unique set of risk factors, and it's important to be aware of the risks before investing. The next one is market risk. This strategy involves investing in companies that are trading at a discount of their true stock value. The idea is that if a stock is trading below its true value, it is undervalued, and therefore it may be worth buying. However, if a stock is trading above its true value, it's overvalued, and therefore it might be worth selling and avoiding. So those are the risks. We have the stock-specific risks. It could underperform, meaning the prices could go down. But the beautiful thing is that if you pick the right stocks, if you pick quality stocks, you would be able to recoup in the long run. It's one other thing to know when to buy and when to sell. How do you manage these risks? You cannot completely eliminate risk when investing in stocks. However, you can reduce the risk. How do you reduce the risks? You reduce the risks by diversifying your portfolio. This is the process of spreading your money over many different stocks. Don't put them in one stock. Don't go ahead and when somebody looks at your portfolio, they'll see stock number 1, UBA, number 2, Fidelity, number 3, Zenith, number 4 is Access. No, it's not done like that. Don't position yourself in one sector with so many stocks of the same sector. Spread your risk. You should have stocks in insurance, have stock in the industrial sector that you're watching, have stock in the finance sector. Don't just put your money in one sector. That's how you diversify. Owning a diversified portfolio that contains many different stocks is less risky than owning just 1 or 2 stocks from the same sector. Number 2, adopt a long-term outlook. If you adopt a long-term investment horizon, it's another strategy that can help you reduce the risk of losing money. Because in the long term, the market recovers. In the short term, your stocks can be highly volatile. They might go through the buy and sell price issues. However, in the long run, the stock price would rise. Generally speaking, the longer you invest, the less chance you have of losing your money. I've already mentioned assets allocation and all. Once you spread your assets properly, you will not really have an issue with so much battling with market volatility. Now, what are the essential tips for successful investing? What are the essential tips? Always have a plan before you purchase a stock. Don't buy a stock with money you need in the next 1 week. That's not how it's done. Stocks take time to grow, so you have to give it time. Don't buy a stock with money you need 1 week later. Don't buy a stock with money you need in the next 1 month. You need to give that money time to grow. Don't go and put unnecessary pressure on the market. Number 2, keep emotions out of your investment decision. Whatever decision you're making, remove your emotions. Don't act like your heart is beating because you're trying to buy a stock. Keep your emotions away. Trade like a robot. Trade like somebody that does not have feeling. Third one, diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't buy one particular stock like 4 times. They are different names now. Even if they are different names, they are in the same sector. Except you have strong fundamentals to do so. Then review your portfolio monthly. At the end of the month, check how your stocks are performing. Yeah, some persons might say, there are some people that bought stocks years ago and the rest of the time doesn't didn't do well and they faced a crash because one, they didn't even know why they bought what they bought. Two, they didn't review their portfolio. They never knew what was happening. Yes, invest for the long term. It doesn't mean you cannot review your portfolio rebalancing. You review your portfolio if it's not making sense, or if this has gotten to like 30% profit, or this one in 2 months have gotten to 50% profit, you should sell. It's a good time to sell. You should sell. You should not wait for a soothsayer or somebody to come and tell you, hey, it's time to sell. 30% to 50% is a good profit, so you can sell. You don't leave it there, because if you're not following the news, you won't know the next thing that wants to happen, except you are following the news. So now, where do we find news regarding the stock market? Where do we find the news? Want to get details of what's happening? I would be sharing my screen again. I just need to show you that app so I can go back. Okay. So the app I'll be using for this purpose is the Yocha app. You'd see it very close to AfriInvestor 2.0. Can you please confirm that you can see the Yocha app? YOCHAA.
I can see it.
Okay, thank you. So I click open the Yocha app. It says please update Yocha. I can't update this now. I don't know when it's going to finish. Well, let me try. Maybe I'll come back to it. Okay, I'm going to continue while I let it update. So I'm just going to let the app update. How do you analyze a stock? How do you analyze a stock? I know you've seen so many posts and they tell you do your own diligence. Make sure you do your own research. And you're like, do your own research, do your own diligence. How do I even go about it? How do I start my own research? So the first thing when you're doing your own research, you look at the government policy. How does the government policy affect this particular company? What is the government currently saying? Most especially CBN policy. If there's a policy you want to look out for, it's CBN policy, because it has a way of affecting the stock markets a lot. CBN policy has a way of affecting the stock market. You remember when they were talking about new notes and old notes, and like they don't want to see anybody using the old notes rather. If you can remember that period, what happens? The share price of banking stocks increased significantly. So when there is a news, especially from CBN, you should think about who is this news going to affect. It's going to tell you the direction of the market. Who is this news going to be favorable to? Or which company is not going to be affected by this news? No matter what happens, no shaking. That company that does not shake regardless of the news. That's what you should be looking at. And another thing you should be looking at is a policy like, okay, when there was a change in government and Tinubu came on board and we had this fuel subsidy removal and all, which people were going to benefit from that? Of course, the oil companies. So when you hear news like that, you focus more on people that will benefit and you buy those stocks at a very good price. And with time, immediately they removed that subsidy, you notice that the share price of oil companies really went up. Some did as high as 100%. So that's government policy. You're supposed to look at that. You're also supposed to look at dividend history. Dividend history, you can find that out under the website called investing.com. That's where you can find dividend history and also historical movement of share price. So find out the historical movement of share price. Last year, how much was this stock selling? 2 naira. This year is currently how much? 5 naira. Just like that. Go like 5 years back. These things can also be found on investing.com. I don't know let me check if Yocha is now available. Okay, Yocha is now available. So let me share my screen. We'll soon be done because I'm also checking the time. So I'm going through the other things. Let me just quickly show you that Yocha app. Okay. So I'm clicking on the Yocha app. You're going to see a lot of stocks right here. You see CI Lizine, Honeyflower. If you click on Honeyflower, Honeywell Flour Mill PLC, it tells you a lot of things that has happened. 1 week ago, it went up by 31%. 1 month ago, it went up by 98%. So importantly, you need to find out what is pushing this stock up. Don't just jump into it because you see it's going up. So that you don't go and buy at the top. You're supposed to be buying at the bottom. Let's open livestock. Livestock feeds, basically those people that sell feeds for livestock. Know that Christmas period, the people that were selling feeds, those are livestock feeds. You notice 1 week ago it did 13%, and 1 month ago it did 51%. Now looking at this point, you see 1 week, it shows you everything that has happened with this particular company in the past 1 week. 1 month, it tells you everything that has happened. The name of the app is Yocha. Year to date, from January, like from 1st of January to today being 12, it tells you a lot that has happened. Now, where do you find out daily news? You go to Insights. Insights is supposed to load up. I don't know why it's taking time. Well, good. Okay. So under Insights, you see Sunday, January 12, weekly market wrap. All share hits 64 trillion gains, 1.80% as MTN soars, insurance stocks tumble. So it tells you what's going on. On the 11th, they said the top 5 oil and gas companies in Nigeria based on share price performance in 2024. It gives you an idea of what to look out for. That's exactly what happens there. Now, let me just use the opportunity to head over quickly to investing.com and also analyze Ikeja Hotel. Let me tell you what I looked out for before I called that stock in. Before I called the stock last year. Okay. Okay, just a reminder, at the end of the class, we'll be giving out free stocks. So you might want to stay to the end because we'll soon be rounding up. We'll be giving us free stocks. As usual, there's always an action to get another action. So even in free time, nothing is free. So we'll be giving us free stocks at the end of the class. Stay tuned. This is investing.com. They have an app. We are looking at stocks. Trying to move over to stock. It's still loading. The internet is a bit slow, that's why. I don't need indices. That's not what I need. Can you roll in first? Okay, so these are stocks of US companies. Basically, you have McDonald's and the rest, but I'm looking for Nigerian stock. It said, what market? I'm looking for Nigeria. Oh my goodness. What are all these ads about? These ad guys are not smiling though. Oh my god. Okay, finally. So we have different stocks here. We have UBA. Trying to load up UBA. Okay, so there's so much information you can get from here. If you open up UBA, you can check the price of UBA 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and last year. You can find out, are they making progress? Is the share price improving? Is it by force to install your app? So that will be later. You can install their app to find out all these things. Right now, I'm not installing this app. It's going to show you the different prices. Maybe in our next section, I'll do the whole installation so that we can really get into it. So the last thing I want to look at is how to analyze a stock. You can also analyze a stock based on leadership. Who is in charge of that company? Who is the CEO and all that? If the CEO is a reliable person like Tony Enumelu, then the stock can be considered a good buy. But it's more importantly to know when to buy the stock. NGX is not coming up. By gx.com. So this is a Nigerian stock site. That's NGX. Model. What's this about? Okay, so I don't know why it's not loading up right now, but that's what I used to analyze the Ikeja hotel that we called for them in the community. That's what we used to analyze. So there are top books on investing that you might want to read. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and top websites for analysis. You might want to use the ngxgroup.com, although it's not opening right now. You might want to use investing.com, Investopedia, and also Yahoo Finance. So it's important that when you're trying to buy a stock for the first time, you should belong to a community of people doing the same thing so that you can be properly guided and know the right stocks to pick. A community that focuses on the hotel sector, a community that buys a stock at oversold region, not buying a stock from the top, where they identify promising companies and they point out sectors before they blow up. They've already pointed out those companies so that investors can make maximum profit from those companies. And also dividend paying stocks where it is recommended and all. So the beautiful thing about joining our investors launch is that you're going to catch the hottest sector long-term recommendation on time, both the Nigerian stock market and the US stock market, if you're interested in the US stock market. And you're also going to get my personal investment framework for picking hot stocks, the things I look out for before I pick a stock, and how I essentially analyze a stock to figure out if it's going to do well in the long run or it's not going to do well in the long run. So this leads me to the end of today's session, and thank you so much for joining the session. I believe some of you have been able to buy a stock by yourself. I mean, watching the whole live sessions, I believe the next time somebody tells you, can you buy a stock yourself, many of you will be able to buy stocks by yourself. That is what I believe. I hope the class was clear. And thank you so much for staying to the end. So those persons that stayed to the end. Okay, now is the juicy part where we talk about the free stocks and all that. So I have like 100 units of stocks to give out to two people, yeah, 100 units. They are banking stocks. It's still emerging, so we want to get in before it blows up. So they are banking stock. First person gets 100 units, second person gets 100 units of that stock. But before I continue, do we have questions? Because I'm rounding up. Thank you so much. Let me take questions. Do we have questions?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I have a question. So I would like to know, for example, I plan buying a stock and holding it for a
Your
year.
background is a bit noisy.
Noisy.
Yes.
Should be network. Where I am is very quiet.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Is it still noisy?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay. I said, for example, I want to buy stock and hold it for a year. This is January. I want to hold it till December. Okay, is it best to just buy now and leave it to sell in December, or I should buy and sell at intervals? Let's say if it does 30%, I can sell and rebuy when the thing falls down again and leave it, like when it does another 30%, I sell off. What do you advise?
Okay, if you're buying stocks from January ahead of December, it is important that you buy the right stock, which is one. Then number two, for your time frame, you're supposed to be reviewing your portfolio monthly to find out how your stock is performing. So if it has done 30 to 50%, you sell off that stock and buy new ones. You don't have to keep it till the end of the year, except it's a stock that you have strong fundamentals on. You've done your analysis and you know that this stock would keep going up even till the end of the year. That's when you can buy for such a long period of time. But it's important that when you've made certain percentage in profit, you sell off your stock and buy new ones. So that's why we always advise you should be in the midst of people doing the same thing that you're doing. So you find out what's happening, what the news is saying, you know when to buy, you know when to sell off some stocks, and essentially when to buy new ones. At the end of the day, you notice within the year you bought various stocks and you made good progress. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, but why I asked was I saw on a friend's platform where she shared that those people that invested, let's say 1 million naira, for example, in a particular share in January 2025, 24, and left it in December, most of them made like I'll call two. I think Wando share is one of them, and I can't remember the other name. They made over, let's say, 500%. So my thought is, if leaving it that long gives a better yield, then if you buy and sell, will you also do the same? That's why I asked that question. Hello, did you hear me? Hello? Mm.
Hello, Hosanna, can you hear me?
I think it's my network. Maybe I'll log out and try and log in back.
Good evening, ma'am. Please, I have a question.
Go on with your question, please.
Okay, as a beginner, no, should I say as a novice, like someone that doesn't have an idea about buying stock, will you recommend the person should trade the stock or should invest? Which one will you prefer for a novice? Like for somebody that doesn't have idea about stock marketing.
For someone that's just starting out for the first time, I would recommend you invest. You buy and hold for long term. If you want to trade, you have to learn technical analysis. You can go on YouTube, find out how to analyze a stock technically, how to understand the chart, how to interpret trends, how to spot a support region and a resistance region so that you know when to enter a buy or when to sell. So you need to learn how to analyze technically before you start trading. But as a beginner, focus more on investing. Along the way, you can move towards trading. For now, just start with investing. Buy and hold.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Hosanna. I dropped a message for you in the chat box.
Yes, I can see it. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other questions so we can wrap up?
Good evening. I have a question.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I'm a novice to shares, but when MTN opened their shares to the public 2 years ago, so I did buy. But I didn't know, I just bought it because everybody was talking about MTN shares and all. So I don't know how to check. I don't know how to go about it to know how far it has gone, or I just bought it and that was it. So I've been trying to understand or to get information on how to check the shares. So I don't know if it's something you can help enlighten me on.
Okay, for MTN shares, you bought it like 2 years ago. Okay, the first question is how did you buy it? Did you buy, you probably used an online site or something? Did you go to their office to buy the shares? Did you buy using an
I bought
investment?
online.
You bought it online, so you just clicked on a site and it kept taking you to different prompts and you bought.
Yeah. I think MTN there was a link they
That's
put
interesting.
something, and I bought.
I didn't get that.
I think there was a link MTN through their platform or something. I saw that there was a link that was out that time, and then someone shared to me, and I bought. I got an email. I got an
They
email that
sent
I
you
bought.
they sent you an email now. So that email
Yeah.
should serve as a guide and give you details about your investment. That's one. So that email you were sent will give you a guide. If you go through that email, it should have details about what you bought, and there should be phone numbers you can reach out. So the reason is that when you buy stocks online, that's why even in this group, I kept telling them then that the banks were giving out shares, their primary offer It was all over the place. Everybody was buying from God knows where. Even those that went to the bank, I told them, this shares you're buying, as you're going to that bank, please ensure you ask them, how do you track it in the next 5 years? Because you will not come and ask me. I was not in the bank when you bought it. So ensure you ask them so that they give you the right information, because they sold it to you directly. I don't buy from the banks directly, even when they were all over the primary offers. I buy using the Afri Invest app. The reason is so that if anything happens, I know who I will go and meet. The essence of the CSCS number is so that you can always clear your stock. If something happens and you need to go and get your entire portfolio, everything there, you can go to the Security Exchange Commission, you give them your number, they're going to search, these are the stocks that you have, and they'll give you what is due. So those are the things you look out for. When you start seeing adverts, buy this, buy that, buy that, you ensure you ask questions before you just go ahead to buy. MTN is a good stock, yes, I know. But to find out the current state of your stock, you would still have to follow that email prompt. There should be some contact person, because if you had bought with Afri Investor, or maybe even go to Afri Invest office to buy, I would have been able to guide you. But the fact that you bought online, I can't exactly guide at the moment. And another thing, just to add to it, don't buy a stock based on hype. I know when it was all over the place, don't buy a stock based on hype. It's recently MTN is coming. The price really dropped like few months ago. It's recently the price is now coming up. But don't buy stock based on hype. Try to do your own research before you just buy a stock. I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do we have any other questions? So we just
Good
call
evening,
it
ma.
a night. Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for the class, ma. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my question is, if we want to set up the Afri Invest app, does it mean we have to necessarily choose the POP account, or we can choose any of the any of the account options?
You can choose any of the account options. It depends on the amount you have. The POP account is the least amount. More like, I think it's 30,000 maximum deposit or 20,000. So there are different accounts there. If you have more than that to invest, you just pick the particular account that works for you. There's Groove, there's POP, and I think two more. So you just pick the one that works for you.
Okay, so another question is there any other app to use? Because I'm actually interested in stock, so I went to do research on this Bamboo app. Though I didn't really see someone to pull me through, so I just downloaded the app and it was just there.
Okay, aside the Afri Investor app, you can make use of the Trove app, which contains both US stocks and Nigerian stocks. You can also make use of the Bamboo app, which contains both Nigerian and US stock. You can make use of the RiseVest app. It has provision for investing in real estate. I think it also has Nigerian stocks. I've not used the RiseVest before, but I can tell of Bamboo and Trove because I've used them before. So then we have the Yocha. I've not used it. I would not recommend. Optimus app by Afri Invest can be used for US stocks as well. So for now, those are the apps I can recommend.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any more questions? All right, in the absence of any more question, wishing you a successful investing period as you buy your first stock for 2025. If that's part of your resolution and you're looking for a community to join where you find fellow investors, we have our investors lounge. I will drop the link in the WhatsApp community in the comment section wherever you're watching from. Most importantly, the 100 units of stocks that I'm about to give out, it just goes to 2 people. I'll drop the link in the community. The 2 persons that are joining the Investors Lounge, the very 2 persons that are joining the Investors Lounge, just the first 2 people gets 100 units of that stock each. 100 units. So I'll be seeing you guys subsequently in our next section. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me. Have a very beautiful week ahead.